Hi guys, and welcome to episode 7 of my knitting podcast. Today is the first episode of 2023 and I'm going to be talking about all the things that I've finished knitting, that I'm knitting on at the moment, and things that I've acquired that are yarn related. I'm just knitting on one of my whips at the moment, and let's get started. So something I've been I don't know why, but I forgot to mention this in the last couple of episodes at the beginning of the video, because for me, it's something that is so clear, which is my name. And also it is my name on here. So I thought most of the people coming back to watch the videos already know who I am, but I thought maybe if there are new watchers, new listeners, new people around here watching my knitting podcast episodes, it'd be quite nice to introduce myself again. So my name is Marlene. I'm a 20-something research assistant from Marburg, Germany. I'm talking about my knitting, which is one of my passions on here. But I'm also a sourdough baker in my free time. Very much just an amateur, but I really love it. I love the cinema and I love reading. I also love going on walks and spending time with my friends. And because I want to maybe do some more things on here in the future, I will be showing you what I've read this month right at the end of the video. So anyone who is not interested in books can just skip out of the video and go on about their day again. I just thought I would like to branch out with this channel in the future. I would love to do some travel vlogs because I have so many fun things already planned for this year, and so I'll be talking about that a bit more at the end of the video. But let's get into what I've finished knitting on since I last spoke to you guys, which the first thing I'm actually wearing, which is mad to me, because it's the zipper sweater, which probably, like, all in all combined, is the most advanced knit that I've done to date. I've done stripes, I've done like textured knitting in my sweater number 18. Stripes I did in the Marseille sweater. I did short rows. Now I'm doing this. This was actually my first raglan construction that I did. So yeah, let's talk a bit more about this. The yarn was kindly gifted by Kremke Soul Wool. I'm going to link their online shop. I've knitted with their wool for a couple of my projects, and I really like their wool. So when they offered to send me some for this project, I was very much happy to say yes. So this is the Reborn recycled wool by Kremke Soul Wool, and the kit Silky kit mohair. I didn't do a great job gauge swatching, I have to be honest. This pattern calls for 3 different kinds of swatches, which made me blank for a moment there. I think mine was only about 9 centimeters by 9 centimeters, so it was a tighter gauge, which I completely ignored for some reason. So I knitted size L, like large, but I think I got, like, the end result is kind of more like an XS, like extra small, which I don't mind. I didn't want this to be so oversized, like with so much positive ease that I couldn't wear it comfortably. In my opinion, I like to wear this. At the moment, I'm wearing this with leggings, which is just due to the fact that I'm just trying to be comfortable while sitting here. I'm going to put on some jeans when I go out, so I think it's fine. I don't have an issue with my bum not being completely covered or it being too, like, short. This is not short by any means. The sleeves are actually perfect in the length, which is also something that you can, like, adjust while you're knitting it, even though your gauge might be a bit tight. My arms are quite tight, which I think is due to the fact that I'm a much more tight knitter in the arm, like in small circumferences, which I've heard from a couple of people that is actually a very normal thing to occur. At the end, I think I cut the zipper when I put it in. So I'm all over the place with this project, but I think I cut it a bit too short, which you're knitting kind of like a pocket to put it in, and then you have to shorten it, which was terrifying for me at first when I had to cut the zipper. But Kimmy, I think her name is Kimmy Muncholm. She's the person that does the videos for Petite knits patterns, and her pattern, although she's speaking in Danish and I don't understand a word she's saying, I think with the English subtitles, it's easy enough to understand. And also by just looking at what she's doing, I think that's so helpful. And so I just followed everything she was doing, and it was less scary for me to do it. But yeah, in the end, I cut it a bit too short, which doesn't affect the functionality or the aesthetics of the zipper sweater at all. But it's just, I know that I've slightly messed up there at the end, but that's just due to stretching. So I would highly recommend blocking your sweater, which this sweater took about 4 or 5 days to block because it's such a thick fabric. But yeah, block it before you put in the sweater, because otherwise it will stretch, it will block. I didn't block this aggressively at all, so I could have probably gotten a bit more room in this if I were to have blocked this more. I think I wrote down I have about a 118 centimeters bust circumference in this now, which my bust size, my bust circumference is about 96 to 99 centimeters, depending on, what time of the month it is, and yeah, like weight fluctuation and stuff like that. So I have a good amount of positive ease in this, and it's still like, when you look at the sizes that Petite Knit suggests you knit this in, I'm like at the far end of the small sizes with what this has come out, which I don't know. I really love the fit, so it doesn't concern me. But if you're trying to knit this with the same yarn, which I think the yarn is beautiful, you should just keep that in mind and maybe swatch a bit more than I did, because I mess up the swatches so much. So yeah, this goes along the lines of me trying to be better with my Ravelry. I actually put up all of my recent projects on there. I'm not putting in any of my sock projects because that would be just like, yeah, my smaller projects I haven't put in there, but all of my sweater projects I've put in there, apart from my first and second one, because there are so many things that I don't know about them anymore. I started knitting in September of 2020, so I've been knitting for nearly 2.5 years, not exactly, but nearly. So I don't really remember much about the first period. I've just been looking through pictures on my phone because I've been trying to sort through them and just delete some of the doubles. And I've realized that I don't know all of the details anymore. That first sweater I gifted my mom because it fitted her way better than it did me. So yeah, I just hope I said everything that I wanted to say about this project. Actually, one thing that I've changed was that I only knitted the double knitting rows once. So once I slipped the knits and once I slipped the purl stitches. So I didn't do the full repeat before doing the Italian bind off, which it's still stretchy enough. I like it like this. It's okay. So yeah, really, the fabric is beautiful. I love how it sits on my skin. I am wearing it mostly with long, just very easy sweatshirts. I don't know how to call these, long sleeve t-shirts. But I've also worn this with short sleeve, And I am sensitive to mohair, especially I was a bit scared how it would like affect the wear around my neck. And I've worn this maybe 5 times in this first week that I had finished it, and it doesn't affect me. I don't find this too itchy. I'm usually mostly wearing it like this, but when I go out, I'm pulling this up, and it's not too scratchy basically, which is nice. I was a bit afraid of it being too scratchy. But yeah, this is my first finished object for this year actually, and I'm so pleased with it. I just want to encourage anyone who's been thinking about doing the zipper sweater, if I'm able to do it, which I am I get so frustrated easily, and I'm very much impatient person, which I'm getting better with that, but if I can do it, you can do it. It's basically what I'm trying to say. So yeah, moving on to my second finished object, which is my second Sophie Shawl. It's this beautiful, white and cream colored tweedy Sophie Shawl. It's made with Lana, Grossa, Meilenweit in the colorway, I wrote it down, 8817. I've shown this as a work in progress, and it actually took quite a long time to finish. This is actually a very, very long project. I don't even know if it's like, probably doesn't fit in the frame. It's very light and airy, so if I put it around my neck, it's not like suffocating me. It's like not too thick. I didn't want my Sophie Shawls to have any mohair because, like I said, I'm a bit sensitive to it, and if I'm just layering it up like this, which I was doing this week, I'm just going to put it on now. My hair is so thick that it's always kind of like it's always in the way. But and I was wearing it like this week. I wanted it to be able to fit in my zipper sweater, just not around it. And it's perfectly, I mean, it's not the softest thing. It's a nylon wool yarn, like it's a sock yarn, I think. But yeah, this was what I was going for with it. I hope you can see the way that I intend to wear it. I really like it. Like I said, it's not the most softest thing in the world, but it's totally fine. So this is my Sophie Shawl number 2. I think I'm done with Sophie Shawls. I'm just putting it out there. I actually have to, I mean, I don't have to, but I want to knit another Sophie scarf for a friend. Actually, my oldest friend, it's her birthday in February, so I should probably make her one. Like I said in the last episode, there has been a family argument over who gets the Sophie Shawl that I made for my aunt, which obviously my aunt gets to keep it. But yeah, her daughter she wanted to steal it, so I'll have to make her one as well. So there's not much more to say about this. I made some mistakes in here, like a few rows where I don't know, it's kind of like it's a mindless knit, like to a point. This was my commute project, but then at the end of the day, I don't get much, like especially when there are more stitches on the needles, and you'll have to count, like doing the increases and decreases, you'll have to count the rows. It's not that mindless at all at the end of the day. It's not like a stockinette in the round, you know? So I made so many mistakes with this. I did have to knit back and like frog some of the rows so many times. I can't even, yeah, so I'm done with Sophie basically. But I love this shawl, and I'll be for sure wearing it loads. this winter and next winter and the winter to come after that. And I'm actually planning to do a set, which I'll be talking a bit more about in my whips. But I planned on keeping this episode short and sweet, and I already know that I'm not going to make that happen. So I'm going to swiftly move on to my next project, which is this finished object, which is this Hottie sweater by PaulaStrickt, which is made in the drops Bouclé held double. I was already speaking a bit about this in my last episode, so if you want to know a bit more about the process of knitting that, you can also watch my last episode. But yeah, this was so quick to knit. This has been with me every day since I finished it. I messed up a bit at the end, although messing up is probably not the right thing to say, but I found her instructions to be super clear in the beginning, super easy. I followed them to a T. It worked out perfectly fine, but in the end, I thought the way she instructed the knitter to work the project was like so not intuitive. And I was like, what am I supposed to do now? So I was really eager to finish this, and I wasn't going to do like the crazy difficult way she did it. I'm completely exaggerating at this point. Obviously it wasn't that difficult probably at all, but for me it was. And so I'm a bit embarrassed to show you this, but this is not the intended way it should look. This is very much a modification that didn't make the project better, but it made it easier to finish. So I'm always just having to pull it down whenever I put in the water or refill it or take out the water. But I don't mind really, maybe for the next project, because I am going to make this a couple more times as gift knits throughout the year, probably. I will try and like follow the instructions, but with this I didn't, and I just continue knitting it when I finish the decreases, and then bound off quite loosely, which I don't know, it's not perfect, but I love it. This has been keeping me warm every day for the last couple of weeks, so I really highly recommend knitting a hot water bottle cover. And with a bouclé, I can't imagine myself wearing bouclé as like a garment at this point in time. I don't know why, but it's just not something that I am looking forward to, or I'm looking to try in the future. At this point in time, I mean, my mind can change it like any minute, but yeah, I really love this, and I'm definitely going to knit the pattern again and try to then maybe knit it as it was intended to be knit up. So my first two whips are two socks. I don't know if I should be embarrassed for this, or if it's just like very usual for knitters to find themselves at this crossroads. I think I've had a serious case of second sock syndrome, which I'm a bit embarrassed to admit, but this is my first one sock that I finished, which is the Sysleriget Christmas colorway. It's a beautiful brownish, orangey and green colorway. It is made up with the Sysleriget hand-dyed colorway and the lang yarn chocolate colorway as a contrast color. I mean, I'm already so in love with this first sock that I have to finish the other one, but this actually took quite a long time because it's knitted on, I think, 2.75 millimeter needles, which is kind of like a bigger needle for just fingering socks. But yeah, I really have to do another one of these because I can imagine myself wearing them and really loving them. So yeah, this is my first sock that I finished. Let's like hope, because now telling you guys, I will try to like keep myself hold myself accountable to finish the second sock, because this sock yarn was not cheap. Shipping from Denmark in that case was like so expensive. So yeah, I will be knitting the second sock for sure sometime in the future. I've just been more into like knitting garments this last couple of months, but knitting on that at Christmas was so much fun. But yeah, it's taking some time. And also I've found that I can't have 2 Christmas colorways. From this point on, like next year or this year Christmas time, I can only have 1 Christmas colorway because I won't finish them, because I have another Christmas sock finished, but only 1 of them as well. So this is my Christmas DK sock, which this is by Olivia and Oliver. Also, I'm just following the Kate Litton, the Crazy Sock Lady DK weight sock pattern, which is a free pattern. I'll link it down below, and I'm also using all of her like YouTube tutorials all the time to remember what I have to do. Something that I've run into is that I want to make this part, the ribbing, a bit bigger in my next couple of yarn sock projects. But with this, because I didn't have much of the so basically this was not intended to be a DK sock. I got the usual like sock weight by Olivia and Oliver, but because I already did the Sysleriget sock in like the usual sock weight, I thought just to switch it up, I might do another DK weight sock, because I like to wear these over my usual just like cotton socks. And which is something my friend Emma has actually taught me, because I was quite cold in my like superwash DK weight socks, and I was like, why are my feet cold? Is it because of the superwash? I don't know. She actually sent me scientific proof for it to be the best way of like wearing your knitted socks is to be over a cotton sock and then put the knitted socks over it, which I didn't do because I like the feeling of the knitted socks on my like bare feet. But doing like the doubling up method has actually quite like improved my warmth around my feet. So I can highly recommend that hack, which probably isn't a hack and everybody else knows, but I didn't. And I was like, why are my feet cold? I've knitted I put so much effort into knitting like handmade socks, and now my feet are cold. Like, I didn't get that. But yeah, so I wanted to have a DK sock and like a usual sock for Christmas. I mean, for the winter, but in the Christmas colorways. And this one was the Christmas, let me have a look which, like what that was called. The DK, they were called just Christmas. Yeah, Christmas 2022. I'll link the colorway down below, but it's not available anymore, so it doesn't probably matter. But it's this beautiful green and then like confetti colorway, I think. And because I was holding it double, I didn't want to make the cuff too broad, because I didn't know if I had enough. And I mean, I've waited, I've put it down, I think it will be fine. Because of the same reason again, I doubled, like I held one of the green and one of the like main colorway together for the heel flap. And I really like the marled effect this was giving. So yeah, I mean, technically they are probably not the best thing I've ever done. There are a few mistakes in this, which just shows that I was a bit like frustrated at some points of this knit. Also, I effed up the end, the Kitchener stitch once, so I had to rip it out again and cut it off because it wasn't going like the way I wanted it to go. And then, so this was kind of like at some point a bit of a frustrating knit, but I love the colors. I love the way it turned out at the end. I'm just telling myself hand knits don't need to be perfect, which is something that I'll come back to in a minute with my next project, which is something that I'm learning at the moment. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to finish another one of these socks. I'm trying to keep my notes about how I modify the pattern that I'm using, the one by the Crazy Sock Lady, just because I'm like tweaking it here and there with the cast on and the cast off and the how long I'm doing things. And I think I've found like the perfect recipe for how long I have to make them for my feet to fit. But yeah, I'm changing it up here and there. I think I like the 2x2 rib the best with my socks I've found. But yeah, I'm looking forward to feeling the sock knitting mojo again in the future. Right now it's not here. So I've just finished up both of these socks, which I love. I think they're beautiful, but I'll have to give them a sibling at some point in the future, which won't be right now, but soon. I'll just have to cast them on. I've found with socks, whenever I finish one, I'll just have to cast on the next one right away. But with these ones I didn't. And I'm not trying to be harsh on myself because this is supposed to be fun, right? So yeah, this is my knitting sock saga at the moment. So speaking about knitting mistakes and getting frustrated about them. So this is my Monday sweater by Petite Knit. I've actually already put in the little, what's it called? I've actually already put in the little tag. I don't know if I'm keeping it there, but I like the idea. I actually put in a tag in my zipper sweater, which I got for Christmas, like from the new line by Petite Knit. And with all of their new tags, they're putting the old ones probably to get rid of them, which I guess it's nice. And with this knit, I've been coming quite a long way since I showed you last. I mean, this is obviously a fingering weight sweater, so this is taking its time to knit up, which is totally fine. I've just realized, like 30 centimeters into the body, at some point I looked at it and I realized I had dropped a stitch in the yoke, like right in the front. Like it was right there. I'll try to find it. And it made me have like a tiny bit of a breakdown. I've tried to fix it. Here it is. I actually fixed it up quite well. I had a couple of my friends helping me, sending me support and some advice how to fix it. And I fixed it and it was nearly invisible. And then I went back in and tried to, with a crochet hook, try to get the lost stitch back onto my needles. But at that point I had knitted like that much more. So it just got too tight and it looked like it looked just horrible. So I tried to fix that again. So how do you actually say that? But so I made it worse by trying to fix it, which is something I get so frustrated with. And I got quite sad. I actually cried because of it, which I'm an easy crier for like happy and sad reasons. So whatever. But yeah, this is truly teaching me to like keep my cool whenever I do make a mistake, which I'm not too bad at with. But whenever I've like lost it, like lost my cool, to compose myself again and be like, it's okay. It's supposed to it's not supposed to look perfect and like I bought it in a store. I've put in I'm putting in months of work. It's not supposed to look perfect, but also the other, you probably understand that if you are putting in months of work, you want it to look like as close to perfect as it could get, or at least it shouldn't like have very obvious mistakes. And so I really hope blocking will help the situation. I don't even think it's like that visible anymore. I secured it and like weaved in all the ends. And while doing that, I just weaved in all the other ends because I was so, I don't know, I had to do something else, and I actually put it away for a couple of days because then I realized I had like done all of the hangs interchanging to not get any pooling with this in the front of the sweater, which I thought this was the back side of the sweater, but it wasn't. And so I've just like tried to sew in all the ends, and with that, like speaking about pooling, and then like turned to Chelsea, who's the True Line Knitting podcast, or who's doing the True Line Knitting podcast, and asked her, because she was my inspiration for using this Eggnogg colorway, also by Olivia and Oliver. I forgot to say that, but I've mentioned this before in my last couple of episodes, I think. And so I asked Chelsea if she had done any interchanging of the hangs with her sweater, and she said no, she actually hadn't. And it was totally fine, and because I think it's such a lightly speckled and lightly colored colorway, it didn't matter. So I didn't have to do that. But you actually can't tell, like you can't really tell that there is any like interchanging or any weaved in ends. But I mean, I'm just like asking myself why I'm making life so much more difficult for myself. And yeah, just trying to be very nice to myself, because at that point in time I was not very happy with myself. Let's just put it that way. So I've put this away in favor of my other work in progress, which I've been working on most of the time, just because I had to like take a step back from that Monday sweater, which all sounds so like dramatic, but that's who I am as a person, I suppose. So yeah, let's move on swiftly to my next work in progress, which is knitting up so fast. I can't even keep track, and I'm having to tell myself to take pictures of this, because otherwise it'll be done before I even like took like a half progress picture. And it's the Lento. This is the Lento by Laine Magazine, and I'm knitting this like taking part of the Lento knit along, which is hosted by Amy Palco and Rebecca Claw by the Creative Knitting podcast. And I'm actually at the ribbing of the body already, which honestly, this is going so fast. I want to knit another one now. I'm actually thinking about getting like a lightly speckled white, like a hand-dyed color, and maybe a mohair, because with this I've actually switched out the suggested yarns. I'm using the Woolyknits Merino Wool Cone in Musgo brown. Musgo, yeah. And this is, in the cone, it looks so much more like khaki green, but when I'm knitting it up with actual green yarn, which this is the Drops Alpaca, it looks much more brown. And this is making, so these two, this is turning out to be a really like nice marled colorway, which is, yeah, I suppose like a khaki colorway, but the brown gives it this like interesting depth. I actually got perfect gauge with using like I think this is this has a 24 stitches per 32 rows gauge. This is 176 meters per 50 grams. And this one is a fingering, but I don't know the gauge of this, but the two of them together actually made like the exact gauge that I should use for the pattern, which was perfect, because I wanted to use the cone up because I had it in stash, and I think the cone itself was really I don't want to say cheap, but it was at a good, it came at a good price point. Although I had to pay shipping and customs, which made it a bit more expensive, but I got 2 cones. The other one I'm thinking about doing just like a casual, like fingering weight raglan sweater, maybe the no fur sweater, but maybe also something else. So yeah, I wanted to use up the cone, and the alpaca I think I got for like 30 something bucks, which I think was a good price point for like a sweater. And I will probably have like half of the cone left over to knit something else with after I finish this project. So I'm actually thinking about which kind of bind-off I should use with that. I don't know. I've never done like a casual, just easy, like stretchy bind-off, like slipping stitches over, like knitting one and slipping the other one over it. I've mostly, I think, done like Italian or tubular bind-offs. So I don't know which one I should be doing. But this is like such a nice fabric. It's like so drapey, probably because of the alpaca, but also the woolly knit seems quite rustic now, but I think it will be, both will give like such a nice like feeling fabric in the end. Actually, the swatch that I did like half a swatch, and after washing and blocking it felt so nice. So this is going to be a really like light and airy, perfect probably for like spring and autumn, not too thick, which is perfect for my wardrobe sweater, because I want to have like a very versatile wardrobe. This one is going to be like a very like cold winter, either with like a bit more light jacket over it, or maybe even when it gets warmer I don't need a jacket with this. Whereas this, you get the gist, you get the idea of what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to keep it moving, guys, keep it moving. So my last, where is it? I've lost my last work in progress. Where is it? Oh, here it is. So dramatic. So my last work in progress, I've actually already, this was my New Year's cast on. I had knitted this right up until the decreases. This is the Hitchhiker beanie by Spektakelstrikk. And then I realized I would run out of yarn in like before I could finish this, which is a bit tragic because I paid a lot for the shipping. It's the Sysleriget tweed one I made this with at first, and the Alpaca silk or Alpaca lace by Drops. But I didn't realize I would have to hold the main yarn double with the lace weight. So I was a bit over eager to start, and I didn't read the pattern correctly, and then I knitted like 80% of the beanie and I ran out of yarn. And there was no way for me to get more because, like I said, the shipping was quite a lot of money, and I didn't want to pay that again. And now our plans for going to Denmark have changed, and I didn't want to wait that long. I wanted the beanie now. And actually a friend of a friend was on vacation in Denmark. She actually went to the Sysleriget shop to get something for herself. She wasn't able to get a skein for me. She was looking, she was like very much trying to get me that skein that I needed, which was so nice, but it didn't happen. They didn't have any more of the skeins in store. And so I ripped it out, which was kind of a traumatic experience because the alpaca silk didn't want to be ripped out. It didn't like what I was trying to do. At the end, I got some help from my boyfriend, who's always like there to help me figure out massive like yarn spaghetti salads if there's ever a time where I'm getting tangled. He's like just there sitting there and like holding or winding for me and with me, which is so nice. But I've lost some of the alpaca along that journey, and because I had some leftover of the Sysleriget, because I had some leftover of the Lana Grossa which I made my Sophie Shawl with. I got another skein of this, and I also got another skein of the Alpaca silk or Alpaca lace by Drops, which is so nice. Actually, is so much softer than their mohair, which, I mean, most people probably already know, but something I learned. And yeah, so with the leftover I had from my first skein and another one and that one, I'm going to be able to knit up this Hitchhiker beanie and probably have some left for maybe some gloves as well, or maybe like a headband. So yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do with the Sysleriget now that I have the other one to finish this, but I will do something with it in the future. I'm just not trying to be too harsh on myself and like pushing myself to make plans for some of the yarn that I have. I've planned I have plans for most of the yarn in stash. My stash isn't huge. And I'm just very much like looking forward to wearing this beanie soon. I'll probably try and get it finished today. This actually is the amount that I've knitted yesterday. It is quite a huge gauge. It's 6mm needles, but I was just like very happy to have a solution for that because I wanted this finished object so much, and the Sysleriget yarn just frustrated me and not having enough of that. And yeah, so these are my works in progress at the moment. I'm going to talk a bit more about acquisitions now and then trying to wrap up this episode so I don't speak for an hour again and make my life very hard because I'll have to edit it. I haven't been feeling very good for the last couple of days. I've had like a headache for I think 3 or 4 days, and having a headache while trying to work with your brain is the worst ever. So I took a few days of work, like 2 days of work, when I then started to develop some cold symptoms, which thankfully have gone away. But yeah, I'm trying to be nice to myself and take some time this weekend and not spend it like editing this video for hours and hours on end, because this is taking a long time. Acquisitions. I caved and got this mood case, which I saw so many people that use this, and it's just beautiful. So I got it. I actually have so when you open it, I have my needles lined up in here, which I found quite helpful because I've aligned them with like smallest going up to the biggest ones that I have. These ones I actually also got. These are the 7mm ones, the ginger twist or ginger line by Knit Pro, which my needles are all from Knit Pro, apart from my sock needles, which are from Chagu, and I got some from CKnit, but I actually haven't used them. I got them to try them out to knit some of my summer tops with them, but I haven't used them because I haven't knitted summer tops and because I've been quite happy with those. With these, I've actually done my mittens before. This is a Sysleriget size 2 crochet hook to catch any dropped stitches. So this is the one side, and then you have some other stuff here. I put in my elastic band, and then you have another, there's a needle in there, and another kind of like pouch where you could put in some of your cables. So that's what I'm doing. I like having my needles organized this way. I think this is easier for storing them and then actually to take them away with me whenever I'm traveling, which I will be traveling quite a lot this year, for work and also for vacation. Whoops. Again, I'm realizing I'm trying to make the most of not being like in the depth of the COVID pandemic anymore. So I have some quite nice plans for the upcoming year. My next acquisition is this raw work merino wool from a single flock in Munich. So it's a German brand. 2-ply woolen spun. It has 300 meters on 100 grams, and I got 3 of those. They are in the colorway graphite. And I wanted to get some wool of this from this brand for some time. I think the logo is actually so cute, and I wanted to try some like German yarn for some time. This is actually feeling quite rustic, and so when I ordered something at their online store for someone else, I caved and I thought, what kind of project is on my like to knit wish list? And I thought maybe the Norse sweater would be a nice thing to knit up with this. So yeah, I decided to knit up the Norse sweater with less positive ease, just like with the zipper sweater. I like oversized looks, but some of them have like so much oversizedness, positive ease. And because I'm usually knitting a size large, but then I don't want it to be like a tent, like sitting in a tent for me. I will see how this gauge is going to turn out with the Lana Alva, which I'm planning on getting at Wooln Berlin in Berlin, which we're trying to make up for our travel plans that got cancelled because of COVID last autumn. And so we're going to Berlin in the spring instead of going to Denmark this year, because like I said, we have so many like travel plans. I have some plans with some friends, and I'm going to be traveling a lot for work this year. Again, just like last year, where I went to New York actually for a conference, and this was like right before I got like crazy for knitting. So now I'm a bit sad I didn't go to like any yarn stores when I was in New York, but that's okay. Like, give me a nice cafe, give me a yarn store, and I'm happy. So my last acquisition is actually for my first cardigan project that I'm planning to do this year, which is going to be the cardigan number 7 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. When I got the Alpaca by Drops, I'm always like, if there's free shipping, I will be trying to fill my cart like with things that I know I'll be using in the future for other projects, to not pay for shipping. So they get me with that like every time. If there's like an amount you'll have to reach before you get like free shipping, I'll try to make that happen. So I got some Drops Air and some Drops Kit Silk, both in just the black colorway. I have a few more down here. I'll show it to you. So this is my market bag holding all of those black Drops yarn, and I'm really looking forward to knit with such a like huge yarn. I've never done something like this before. This has a 17 stitches on 22 rows gauge, which is 50 grams for 150 meters, which is a very thick yarn. And this will be knitted up with the 7mm needles, which will also be the biggest project that I will have done to date. But yeah, this will maybe be a cast on in the next episode. I don't know yet. But yeah, I think that could be like a very classic cardigan to wear on any occasion, really. And so if you have any experience with knitting the cardigan number 7, please feel free to share them with me in the comments. And speaking about comments and the internet in general, I'm trying to be better, like I said at the beginning of the video about my Ravelry. I'm going to put in a link in my description box to my Ravelry page. So if you want to add me as a friend or maybe follow any of my project progress, you can do so on there. I'll also be linking my Instagram again, because in any case that I'm like posting about how I'm styling my knits, that will also be on there. And also maybe like a bit more, not daily, but like weekly updates. I'll post a lot more on there than I'm posting on here, obviously. And I have a few of the like highlights linked about all of the projects, like the stories I posted, because I'm a bit more like likely to post a story nowadays, because at the moment it's just so dark outside, and whenever I'm at work I don't have the mental capacity or even like the daylight. And also please feel free to subscribe to my channel if you like this video style. The last thing I'm going to show today or share today is what I've read this first 20 something days of the first month of this year. It's The Small Pleasures by Claire Chambers. It's a book I've seen online like everywhere in the last, I think, 2 years. Yeah, it's been longlisted for the Women's Prize in Fiction in 2021, so it's been around for some time. I've nearly finished this. This is actually part of, it's not like an intent, it's an intention, it's not a goal for this year, but I'm trying to take some time, like take more time to read, because I've been spending so much of my free time knitting. I'm just trying to read a chapter, like read one chapter each night before I go to sleep, which is like trying to help me settle down, not like have my phone around whenever I'm trying to go to sleep. So it's part of my intention for this year to just help myself with living life. So yeah, I know you're probably watching this channel for knitting content, but this is just a warning that I might be branching out in the future just for like travel vlogs, or maybe a yarn shop tour. If you want to see that, please also like feel free to comment if or if not, if you don't, or if you want to see some of that in the future. If you're also into reading, if you've maybe read this book and have your own opinions about it. Like I said, I'm not finished yet, but so far I've been really enjoying reading this every night before going to sleep. And with that, I'm going to wrap up this video because it's already far too long. And also I'm saying that, but I'm enjoying watching people's like 1+ hour knitting podcast updates. Thank you so much for being here, for watching this, for following along my knitting journey, and also for sharing yours in the comments. Feel free to just type in, like send me a comment saying what you're knitting on while watching this. And also I hope you're all staying healthy and happy knitting. See you next time. Bye.